So just a few announcements before I get started on my project for today. Whoops. My hostess code for the month of July, and we only have a few more days left. So everyone that uses the code gets entered into the pool for free products from me. A few more days left for the extra promotion. For every $50 you order, you get a $5 coupon to use in the month of August. So this ends on July 31st, so make sure you get your orders in. Oops, wait a minute, I said that wrong. That was the bonus days coupons. I grabbed the wrong little flyer I had. The bonus days coupons ends on July 31st. The extra is for those of you wanting to earn a discount on Stampin' Up! Products. If you join my team during the month of July and August, you get to pick $155 worth of products and pay only $99 and free shipping. My door prize for the month of July, perfectly paired stamp set. Anyone that places an order online, by email, or in person, also including paper pumpkin subscriptions, your name will be entered into my drawing for the stamp set. And lastly, this is my free card kit for the month of July using the Magnolia embossing folder. And everybody that places orders will get a kit from me. This will not include the sentiment at the bottom because we're not allowed to include stamped images. I'm also going to be sending you a video to show you how to do your coloring when you get your kit. Okay, so I see everybody coming on. Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Again, this is my monthly Friday Folds class. I'm going to give you all the supplies I'm using before I show you the card I'm making today. So for ink colors, Pacific Point and Daffodil Delight, I'm using the Above the Clouds stamp set along with the coordinating balloon bouquet punch. And I just threw my cardstock on the floor. Hold on. I went to grab my punch and everything went flying on the floor. So for cardstock, I have Daffodil Delight 11 by 4 1/4, and we're going to score this together. A scrap piece of white for the sentiment. Scrap piece of Daffodil Delight for die cutting. A scrap piece of Pacific Point for die cutting. And then I have, let me get this organized, 2 pieces of Pacific Point that measure 4 by 2 1/2. 2 pieces of the See a Silhouette designer paper. Those measure 3 3/4 by 2 1/4. I just wanted to show you a sampling of this designer paper. I love the patterns, and it almost reminds me of the brusho that we used to have to do backgrounds with. And look at all the colors that this paper coordinates with. There's a ton of colors. So very versatile in using with your cardstock and your inks. I'm also using the Stitched Nested Labels dies. This would be the largest size and then 2 sizes down. 2 pieces of Whisper White, 1 for stamping, 1 for the inside, which measures 5 1/4 by 4. And then we also are using some rhinestone jewels and the classic label punch. Now let me show you the card. Let me move some of this stuff aside. So the card that I'm showing you today, somebody had asked me to show how to make a while back, and it's finally on my list. This is the card. It's called an interlocking card because it's got the 2 mechanisms in the center that interlock with each other when you close the card. And then this is what I did on the inside. So let me start out. We're going to start out by scoring the card base. Let me bring my scoring tool in. So we're going to score each end. Instead of scoring in the center, we're scoring at 2 3/4 on each end. And that's it for scoring. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold on the score lines. I'm I'm going to go ahead and glue down my layers, and then I'll show you how to do the interlocking part of it. Okay, so here's the 2 Pacific Point layers. So I'm gonna go glue both of those in place. I'm using different colors than the card I showed you only because I'm almost out of this paper already and I didn't have enough to replicate this one. So that's why I opted to do different colors. Now what I did when I cut my designer paper, I want to make sure that I line it up so that it continues. As you can see, I did here. So this will be my top piece. Make sure I have it facing the right way. I just think it looks prettier that it continues on to the next flap. Okay, so that's it for the card front itself. Very easy. Now I'm going to bring the Big Shot in and show you how I cut the 2 interlocking pieces. And because we're doing the balloon image, I wanted to keep the Pacific Point color for the sky. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the largest of the dies. And I'm going to put that back on the platform. And now I'm going to add the smaller stitch nested die in the center. I'm going to add a piece of washi tape just to hold that in place. So this is going to be the framed part. So there's our little frame for the interlocking portion, and then you can keep this section for another card. Now we need the portion that goes on the inside. Okay, so when you have both of these cut out, one should fit inside the other, just like that. Now let's go ahead and we're going to do some stamping. So let me bring in my punches. Bring in the card so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we've got Daffodil Delight. I don't have enough room. And Pacific Point. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some clouds to my Pacific Point layer. So I'm actually doing Pacific Point ink over Pacific Point cardstock. Just going to add a few clouds. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for that. Next, I'm going to do my balloon. Now, I want to get a scrap paper just to show you something. So this is just a scrap. You have to be a little careful with the outline image. I'm going to show you why. If you press really, really hard, you get some of this yucky stuff in the middle. So you have to make sure that you do a really light touch when you're doing this one. Okay, so there's my balloon. I'm going to color the inside of it with Daffodil Delight, and I want it to be quite light, so I'm going to actually stamp on scrap first and then fill it in. Let's see, what else do we have? We have the little basket, and I have both pieces on the same block. I'm going to stamp that with the Pacific Point and then color it in with Pacific Point, but I'm going to stamp off first and make it, oh, I messed up on that one. Let me do it again. I didn't line that up very well. Okay, I still didn't get it right. Okay, 3 times is a charm, right? The 3rd time's a charm. Let's see. There we go. Because 3 strikes, you're out. I would have had to end my video. Now, let's see what else we need. I'm going to use the scrap for my sentiment because it's so small. Now, let me go ahead and cut out with the punch. So I'm using the balloon punch. There's my balloon. And then I'm going to have to cut this off so I can do the little basket. I'm just going to feed that through. Okay, so there's the little basket. The classic label punch will be used for the sentiment. Now I'm going over to the left just a little bit, only because this needs to be shorter than the blue layer so that it doesn't interfere when you're doing the interlocking piece. So now I'm actually going to take this and put it back in. Maybe. Sometimes you have to play around with it. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to snip off a little piece and make it shorter. Now let's see what else we need. So we have all of the pieces for the front. Now let's go ahead and stamp the inside so we'll be done with the stamping portion. Again, I'm going to add some clouds to the background. And let me go ahead and do the balloons. Now this image does the 3 balloons all in one swoop. We're going to color them again with the Daffodil Delight by stamping off first and then filling them all in. And let me see, I've got my sentiment, Let Your Dreams Soar. And a few clouds off to the side. Okay, so that's the inside. So let me go ahead and glue that in place. Let me see if I can get all my little pieces here. Now, where did my sentiment? My sentiment's right here. Let me put my ink aside. And that's going to go inside of the Daffodil Delight card base. And don't forget to share my video as you're watching. I'll pick a winner for one of these cards. Now let's close this back up. So now what we want to do is add glue to the back of the frame, only half of it, because you want the other half to be the interlocking part. And that's going to be glued at the top. And an easy way to do the remainder is, you know, you want to glue it on the bottom, so all I did was add glue on the inside. And we're going to fit that right inside. Press it down. And then next is the balloon part. So I'm going to add stamping dimensionals. And I'll use the mini dimensionals for the basket because it's so small. And then lastly, oh, not lastly, we've got one more step. We're going to glue the sentiment flat, and I'm gluing that right where the basket and the balloon meet up. And now we need to add some bling. We can't have a card without bling. So let me add a few rhinestone jewels. Just a few in the background. And our card is complete. So now you can see that the interlocking part, and there's the inside. So let me leave this one open so you can see what the inside looks like. This is the one I made ahead of time. And there's the stamp set that I used for today. So I hope you enjoyed my interlocking card. Like I said, this was a request from a viewer. If you ever have a card that you don't know how to create and you'd like me to show you how to do it, make sure you ask me and I can put that on my list for next time. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. I'll be back on Monday at 10 a.m. with my Paper Pumpkin Alternative project. So I hope to see you then, and I hope you have a great weekend. See you later.